I know this video is late and you've already seen plenty of videos about the new iPad Pros. I wanted to make this video specifically to share my initial thoughts and impressions because A, this is a tech channel, and B, specifically, these iPad Pros I think are the best Apple's ever created. They check almost every possible box. They might even be peak iPad. I'll tell you why. Let's start with the design. The iPad Pro comes in two sizes, 11 and 12.9 inches. I think these are the sleekest Apple has ever made. They are so incredibly thin, seemingly thinner than an iPhone, and light. It almost feels like I'm holding just a display in my hands, and there are definitely bezels here, but they're thin. These iPad Pros are boxy, but you can't exactly stand them up as easily as you could with the iPhone 5. And why does this camera bump exist? Oh, how I wish it were flush against there. Okay, moving on. The display in the iPads are excellent. The LCD is so close to the surface of the glass thanks to Apple's lamination process that it feels like you're touching the interface elements. And these are the first iPads that are using rounded edges, and I much prefer them over sharp corners. These iPads have a 120 Hz display, meaning the frame rate is super high and swiping throughout the OS is almost uncanny. It is buttery smooth, like liquid. If you haven't experienced a ProMotion Apple product, go see one in an Apple store. Here's hoping the 2019 iPhones adopt the high refresh rate screens. Here's something else I hope that Apple does with the 2019 iPhone: USB-C. These new iPads have it, as do Apple's MacBook lineup. We'll see. We could talk about iOS's limitations on the iPad, but let's save that for another video. What I'll say is that iOS 12's gestures may confuse you if you don't have an iPhone 10 or 10s. Here are the basics. Full swipe up from the bottom goes home. A sort of like quick swipe from the bottom will reveal the dock, and a swipe and hold will bring up the multitasking UI. For the first time ever, iPads now have Face ID. Yes, you can use it in any orientation as long as you're not blocking the sensors with your thumb. It works well, but I miss Touch ID. And by now you may have noticed the visible contacts on the iPad Pros. They've got multiple uses. Starting with the Folio cover. Apple makes them in both sizes and they magnetically attach to the iPad. And it's held in there well. It's got a full-size keyboard that is surprisingly great to type on. And if you know me at all, you know how I feel about hardware keyboards. I love them. When you close the case, it locks the iPad, which is a nice touch. There are just two angles to position the iPad, but you could theoretically turn it like this and use it as a drawing pad with the new iPad Pencil. Apple updated its Pencil with one side flat, and it feels more comfortable to use now. The flat side acts as a gesture pad that varies in functionality from app to app. For example, a double tap in Notes changes from the drawing tool to an eraser. But the best thing about the new iPad Pencil, besides from how accurate and how much it feels like you're using a real pencil and paper, is how it charges. It attaches to the side just like that, and it'll tell you the battery percentage right on the screen, like AirPods. Well done, Apple. These new iPad Pros are the best Apple has ever made, and they're also the most expensive. Because they're brand new, now would probably be a good time to buy an iPad if you really need it and feel like it'll suit your mobile computing needs. Remember, the iPad still runs iOS, and you need dongles to do pretty much anything. There's no desktop here. It's just a grid of apps that can run side by side if they're supported. Personally, I'm inclined to reach for my actual laptop instead of this tablet because, for one, I can't really edit videos in Premiere Pro just yet, and I feel like I can just get work done more efficiently with a trackpad and a proper keyboard rather than a glass slab that magnetically attaches to a keyboard. So before you go plunk down close to $1,000 on one of these, go to an Apple store, see what it's like to hold, see what it's like to use, and ask yourself, do I really need this product in my life? For many, the answer is probably no. But if you're a college student or you travel a lot and you're embedded in the iOS ecosystem, this might be a great companion device for you. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'll be reading them. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching.